recorded on VHS and downloaded to cassette for maximum audio quality.
Outer Banks hammocks for the ultimate lay. obxhammocks.com on the web. Savage surfboards since 1982. Know your shaper. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Surf Shorts. Welcome back to Surf Shorts. Thanks so much, y'all, for listening. Today, I've got Jacob with me, Jacob Vendetti from Live Fearlessly Foundation. What's up, dude?
What's up, man? It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I am absolutely thrilled to have you on the show. You know, after I met you and I learned about the foundation, I started following you on Instagram, and it's incredible, like what you're doing, like on your own, basically.
Yeah, all the work is done alone. I do have one of my best friends, or two of my best friends, that I put on my board, and they just have conversations with me sometimes about, questions I may have, but all the work is being done by myself.
Yeah.
The video editing, the reaching out to the families of kids with CF, talking to others with CF, constantly encouraging them and sharing their posts, and giving out activity grants. We've given out 84 Live Fearlessly activity grants now.
Man, and that's something else. It really is. And before we talk about it too much, because I would like to talk about some of the things I've seen you post and people post on your Live Fearlessly Instagram. So before we get into all the things we've seen on your Instagram and stuff, tell me really like how you got started.
So that's a good question. I before Trikafta, I was really struggling, man. I couldn't hold down a job anymore. And nobody would hire me.
Trikafta is a drug, people in the audience, and we've spoken about it. Jacob and I have spoken about it on some other shows that brought it up. But
Yeah.
That's why I just casually slipped it. Trikafta is a drug that is fairly new. It's approval by the FDA.
Yep, 3 years ago, and it's been a sheer miracle for me.
Man, and you love to hear, I love to hear stuff like that because we hear so many bad things about Big Pharma and Martin Scarelli and people like that. And then here it is, here's a miracle that they're literally working. It's
rad. And I'm so grateful, man. And just, it makes me really appreciate all the little things now.
Yeah. Yeah. Feeling good.
Not being in the hospital 4 or 5 times a year for weeks at a time, having the energy to help out others and surf again, live a somewhat normal life.
Yeah. So, you're born with cystic fibrosis, correct?
I was, yep.
And it affected you from the beginning, like through your childhood, or did it get worse as you got older, or?
It's a progressive disease, so it got worse.
Okay.
What happens is my lungs produce a bacteria named Pseudomonas.
Mm-hmm.
And ever so often, that Pseudomonas buildup will, progress, and I'll have a lung infection, and that will be like heaps of mucus all in my lungs, coughing up, and that affects everything in my body, my energy, my skin tone, my hair,
Sure.
my nails, the whole nine. And so what you do when you have a lung infection is you get what they call a PICC line, and they administer tobramycin through your IVs and piperacillin, and that clears the mucus out. It takes a few weeks, the whole process of it, but it works really well. But having to do that so often, it builds scar tissue in your lungs.
Okay.
And so that's what, I'll never recover probably 50% of my lungs back, maybe more than that. But right now, because of Trikafta, my pulmonary function test, I'm scoring between 40 to 50% volume in my lungs. And before I was, 10 to 15%.
Man.
when I was on that lung transplant list. And so it's been incredible, man. Like, there's other side effects that Trikafta has, and it doesn't work for everybody with CF, which breaks my heart, man.
Yeah.
And that's what really leads me into doing what I do today, because Trikafta doesn't work for everybody with CF, and there's a lot of people still in the shoes that I was in, and I want to encourage them to live fearlessly.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is heartbreaking. I mean, like, for you to take this drug and to feel better and to get on your feet and get your skin color back and start moving around, and then someone else that go through the same treatment and just not respond to it.
Man, it's brutal. And yeah, you can choose to keep this in the podcast or not, but there's a lot going on, because when a medication like this is approved by the FDA, the pharmaceutical company that produced it has it patented for 17 years before anybody else can make a generic form of it or anything. And so not all countries can get Trikafta right now.
It's wrong.
And there's people my age, same health conditions, they're going to have that lung transplant that I was going to have. And, what I can do is, and I've thought long and hard of this, is encourage them to keep getting out and living an active lifestyle and choosing healthy life habits. And I can also send them the Live Fearlessly activity grant to help them pursue their passions.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us
do.
about this activity grant, because that's what we do. Because we could sit here and we could talk about Martin Scarelli. We could talk about all the things wrong with Big Pharma. We could talk about, we could have a serious debate about, okay, Big Pharma makes big money, and then they sink big money back into research and they save people's lives. But then again, turn around, here are people whose lives could be saved, and they're demanding so much money. It's a wicked circle, and people can debate both sides of it. All right.
Yeah.
The anti-debate to what our impulses are, because my impulse is immediately like, this is insanity. Like, if you have this thing that can help people, you should be making billions and billions of pills. And I don't know, there could be a problem in getting some of the specific parts of the pills. But, your instinct is, why aren't you making billions and billions of these and shipping them to every country and trying to save people as quickly as possible?
It's because not every government will support it.
Yeah.
And, it is still in early stages, but it's proven to work drastically for lots of people.
You're living proof.
And I am. But, this medication costs $311,000 a year, and that's $970-something per day for three pills.
That's
right?
crazy.
If I was to have private insurance.
$33 a pill.
If I was to have private insurance and not be on disability, every 8 months through Blue Cross Blue Shield, I'd be paying $29,000 as a 29-year-old trying to, make a living.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
It's not.
That I don't know.
People. Yeah. And then, just to go ahead and play the other part, because I try to play both parts. The other part, someone else's argument that thinks a little bit differently than I do. Their argument is, well, this massive, they need this money as soon as possible to put back into their country, into their company, so they can reap these profits and invent something else.
The way
that's the other
I think
argument. Every
every government looks at a person is with dollar bill signs, and there's governments in the world, that say we can only spend this much on one person per year, and Trikafta is going to cost so much. I think it equals out to be a CF life cost $3 million a year or something.
Yeah.
And some governments can't afford that, right? We luckily live in, one of the best places in the world, and I have the resources, right?
Yeah. And the first time, right. But going back to it, why is it costing that much a year? Like, you can't tell me that the process. Oh, all right. Now that the pill's been invented, the research is expensive. the processes you go to make sure it's safe, effective, all of that stuff costs billions of dollars.
Yeah.
But once you've done that, making those little pills does not. Right.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
Yeah, you caught me off guard there because I wasn't thinking that way. You're saying, governments, some of the other governments, ours too, look at people as dollar signs. My initial perception of what you meant was other governments weren't sure it's safe yet, because God knows there's a lot of treatments for a lot of diseases available in Europe that are not available in the United States because we don't consider it safe.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's one of the perspectives that they say why they aren't getting it right now.
Right.
But I mean, if you really think about it,
it's money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. So, listen, we're going to get off that because I can't change that part of the world. You can't change that part of the world. But the difference between you and I is you are changing the part of the world that you can change. And if you're listening to the show and it makes a difference to you and it sounds important, I want you to go on the Live Fearlessly Foundation's Instagram, and I want you to look at some of these people, especially the kids, and they're on there and they're talking about what they're living for and the things in their life that keep them going. You just check that out and then listen, hit pause on this, and then come back after you look at some of those. And I want you to hear what Jacob's doing. So tell us about the grants that you give these people and what they do.
So that's been really exciting, man. And I developed that program last summer. And the Live Fearlessly activity grant is $150 towards any activity that the CF recipient feels will help their CF out.
Yeah. So it could be a trip to the skate park.
It can be art, doing art, like, something that, gets your mind off. Because my goal is to help out people with not only physical barriers, but also mental barriers. When you live with a lung disease this gnarly, it can mess with you in ways you've never thought of, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, mental health is a serious issue in our society. Anyone out there that's listening has felt stress. So imagine the stress if you have this hanging over your head every day and you're not feeling healthy and you know that CF is a progressive disease.
Yeah.
Mentally, the toll would be tremendous.
Yeah, and it is. And so, that's where I step in, and I give $150, which isn't much now, but we're growing. Excuse me. We're growing, and I plan on doing more in the future. But right now I'm trying to help out as many people as I can, and then I'll be working with them through that.
Yeah. Give me a couple of examples of some things you've helped people do.
I've paid for gym memberships and surf lessons and skate lessons and skateboards and swim lessons, dance lessons, biking equipment, bikes.
Bikes for little kids?
Yeah. This one person I got a bike recently is a 4-year-old named Ava who had a double lung transplant at 4 years old.
Oh my God.
And she learned she was in the hospital for an entire year, and she learned to ride this bike in the hospital. And when I saw that story, it touched my heart. And I reached out to her mom and I told her what I wanted to do, and her videos on the Instagram and everything. And she got out of the hospital recently, which was really cool. And they bought her a bike with the money that I gave her.
Bro. I mean, as a father, you are absolutely crushing me right now. I mean, the thinking about what this 4-year-old's going through, and you bought the kid a bike. That's a big deal. I mean,
the family's they're having expenses they never dreamed of because she wasn't allowed to leave the hospital for an entire year.
Yeah,
it's all sorts of things they never thought of. So and $150 might not be much, right? But it's what I can do right now. And then, people see these stories that I put up, because my one requirement I have with the grant is for them to send me a video of themselves saying their name, age, why their activity helps their CF out. And this is so that others with CF can see what people are doing and to encourage them to go out and either ask for the grant or do the same, see what's possible. Because when you have CF, it's doctor's protocol to tell you the worst case scenario of everything you do. That's just how they look at things, right? So when you're parents with a kid with CF, a lot of them are, so cautious about what they allow their kid to do.
Sure.
And so with them, especially one that has weak lungs, or other complications, because they don't want their kid to get sick and something worse to happen or something, which I understand. But when they see other kids doing the swimming lessons, participating in things, it shows them that it's okay.
Yeah. To help get their kid out of the box. For sure. And you have experience, like when we talked on another show, we talked about you going to Hawaii. You went to Hawaii on a grant, and you were out there, you gave a speech, you helped people because you're a very good surfer. You're a very good surfer, right? Well, it's a fact. It's a fact. And so you're out there with the Malleola Foundation, and then you don't want to come home. It's wintertime in Wrightsville Beach, and the weather sucks, and the waves suck. And why would you? You're in Hawaii. It sounds like the idea of coming home sounds like a nightmare. And then you're smart enough, to connect through to another group that can help you with the grant. And then now you're being that group for someone else, and like putting us out on Instagram is like,
you nailed it right there, man. Having that opportunity that I was given by the Malleola Foundation and Piper's Angels Foundation, it always built this fire inside me to want to create that opportunity just like how they created for me.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that. I'm in the beginning stages of it, but it's going great, man. Like I said, I've given out 84 activity grants, and I'm going to give out 100 more this year, and it's going to be awesome. We have 3 big fundraisers, and I think it's going to be cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, 84 activity grants on $150 is $10,000.
Yeah, I've given, and some of them I've given multiple activity grants, like locals around here, like Boston Olvie, or others that have CF there that live around here, and it's everything that I make for the foundation goes back to people with CF. I sell T-shirts, and I have them in multiple surf shops. I have fundraisers. Everything goes back to them.
Yeah. So that was one of my last questions is, where does the money come from? And people that are listening or watching, how can they, after they go to your Instagram, and if they're like me, they'll be amazed. How can they donate money to you?
We have a PayPal, we have a Venmo, and a Zelle account, and checks. And
they can see those through the Instagram?
They can see that on Instagram or the website. What's
your website for everybody?
The website's www.livefearlesslyfoundation.com.
Okay.
And I work a job where I get paid $10 an hour, and I live off of my disability check, and everything I make donations wise goes back to people with cystic fibrosis.
Yeah, you're not in this for the money. You're not in this to pay for your own medicine. You're in this for the other people.
Yeah.
And we shot a promo in here earlier. You got, what was it, 4 major events coming up?
3 major events.
3. All right, tell us about them real quick.
We have our inaugural golf tournament, which is going to be at the Muni golf course.
Oh yeah, Muni's great. Muni's a Dye course. I don't know if it's Pete Dye. Somebody famous. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I knew somebody famous created
Muni's
that
great,
course.
man. I love it. That's like my home court.
I'm terrible at golf, but
it's gonna be a sick tournament, man.
Sweet.
We have Jeff Gordon Chevrolet as one of our sponsors. They're gonna put a Chevy Silverado on number 16, and if somebody makes a hole in one, they're gonna win it.
Wow. And what's the date of that golf tournament?
That's August 5th.
All right. August 5th. Okay. And then November 4th?
November 4th is the Surf Shop Shootout.
Surf Shop Shootout. That's right. So all the surf shops get together
and compete.
Yeah. Now, do you have to work at the surf shop, or could I just like get some of my bros that the surf shop I associate myself with?
Each surf shop team has 4 riders, and one of the riders has to work at the surf shop.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. And that's going to be exciting. We got, all sorts of cool things in the mix for that. And
Who won last year?
CB Surf Shop came down to
All
Wrightsville
right.
and took the win.
All right. Congrats to them.
It hurt our pride on WB a little bit, but they got the best waves. It was fun, man. It's all fun, Everybody's there for the right reason, and they want to help me with this mission of giving activity grants out, and it's really cool.
Yeah, well, I imagine I'll be at the next one. I don't know if I'll be out there losing, which is what would be happening if I was surfing. But
it can only go up from here because last year was completely flat.
Yeah.
We got so unlucky. There was waves the weekend before and the weekend after.
Yeah, I've been there. I've thrown a surf contest and it's been flat. It's so tough because you've done so much work. And then you got another one, December 2nd.
Yeah, so on December 2nd, I'm having a silent auction gala at the Lumina Holiday Inn on Wrightsville.
Right.
And this event's going to be similar to Tony Butler's event, Hope from Hell.
It's funny. It's exactly what I was going through my mind as I was thinking of Tony. As soon as you started
Tony,
to talk about
he's
this.
such a legend.
He's the man.
Super legend. And I gave Tony a call when I was thinking about doing this. Well, actually, Vertex Pharmaceuticals, I had a meeting with them because I'm applying for a grant with them.
Sure.
And they recommended that I put on a silent auction gala and said that they would have 8 people that work at Vertex there if I do it.
That's awesome.
So that's why I came up with the idea. And then I was like, man, this is like so similar to what Tony used to do.
Yes,
I gotta give Tony B a call. And I called him and we met up and got lunch, and he just, gave me the lowdown on how he did it, and he would be a point of reference for me throughout the whole thing. And yeah, it's great, man. It's going to be exciting.
Bro, it's awesome. And I will certainly be there. Absolutely.
Sweet. Love to have you, man.
We'll give you all the
more
support.
The merrier.
Give you all the support we can. Hey, man, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on the show, and it's important, and it means something to me. It really does. Like after meeting you, and especially like, I'm a school teacher. Looking at the kids on your Instagram, man, it really, you're making a difference in the world, brother.
I really appreciate it, man. That's my goal.
Yeah, and you're accomplishing it.
But I can't do it alone. I got to do it, with people. Together we can make a difference,
Yeah, and I'm sure, I'm sure we'll have people listening that would be interested in volunteering, helping you run some of these events, or
that would be rad.
So just hit you up on your Instagram. Live Fearlessly.
Send me a DM on Instagram or an email, and my email is listed on my Instagram and website.
All right, well, thanks so much, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.